This review will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, go ahead and watch it before this video to avoid disappointment. And remember, do not spoil future episodes in the comment section, or you will live to regret it. Friendship is Magic comes back from its mid-season hiatus with 2 episodes, something I was wholly unprepared for. Not usually the case with me, but sometimes it can throw you an absolute hammer blow out of left field. Regardless of that, will it end up being something that returns with a plum or a restrained whimper? Well, let's dig our shovels into the ground of analysis and find out what we get. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pones N Stuff. If there's one thing that I've liked more than anything else about these 2 episodes happening at exactly the same time, it's that unlike most of the first half of the season, we are being allocated time dedicated to the school itself and the pupils within it. Now sure, we had a premiere whose entire premise was solely focused on it, but outside of non-compete clause we've not been blessed with seeing the school or our fresh as organic vegetable student 6 in much form or function since. As a result, I was hoping that this duo would deliver the goods. This is mostly because they are incredibly important. These student characters not only have to have enough going with them to last through the end of this season, they need momentum to last through the next as well. Meaning if they don't have experiences and their personalities building them up and ensuring they're strong, rigid, and able to take anything that a writer throws at them, people are not going to like it when they appear on screen, meaning you've wasted valuable time of what's left of this show's run on them. And it has not come to anything. There could be dire consequences if it's not executed correctly. So DHX, you need to set the wheels in motion properly, otherwise you'll live to regret it because it'll be a massive waste of time. So, with that in mind, let's crack on with a matter of principles and see what it managed to add to the pot. Discord, Spike and Starlight running the school amid turmoil, chaos and high tension? Shut up and take my money. Well, that's what I would say if it had turned out how I envisioned in my head, and of course I wouldn't be saying that if it managed to, would I? It was dramatic, yes, but thanks to Discord's use of visual comedy and its over-the-top antagonism, it had a bit of an identity crisis that it found hard to balance. How do you go from making Twilight's office a head-scratching Terry Gilliam crossover with Salvador Dali? Yes, it was that surreal a landscape, to then forcing the students to escape from an Ursa Major and a bugbear without any logical reason for that segue. Now sure, Discord was as antagonistic as we've ever seen him in recent seasons. Starlight had her buttons pushed to the point where she obliterated the Draconequus in epic style, and Spike was, well, just his restrained, blunt and empathetic self. But like everything else in this episode, they weren't given enough room to breathe and expand naturally, because having to condense all of it around the school setting and the students' attempts at learning meant that it delivered laughs but bled apathy as the stop-start pace and fractured execution of its already heard morals were thrust into the spotlight, not benefiting its cause. The school's bureaucratic setting and activities did, however, drive the conflict forward with some zeal, allowing the narrative and pencil-thin story to have some weight to them as well. But the episode went about itself not fulfilling the potential it could have had, all the while making me laugh and be shocked by callbacks to prior episodes that I didn't see coming, alongside a reference to Steve Buscemi's "How do you do, fellow kids" joke from 30 Rock. I take back what I said earlier, you can have my money for that one gag alone. Now visually it was stimulating, but missing some massive set pieces and editing work to take it over the precipice into glorious territory. But the sheer amount of things we actually did get was more than enough, while the music supported Discord's antics appropriately as the tension built haphazardly, but it lacked in punch throughout. Those before noted morals though, that was a different kettle of fish, as they were about communication and how authority can change a person's perception of you, and they've already been done in prior episodes to where it just didn't ring with a lot of authenticity this time round. Thankfully, they managed to come through with a profound admission from Starlight to add sheen to an episode that frequently tried to make itself as fun as it could, but it was troubled by what it was ending up doing and not doing to bolster itself. It was entertaining, do not get me wrong with that. I had a nice time with this one. I had a good laugh watching the three core performances drive the story forward to a satisfying conclusion as they were voice acted well. But if the writers had given those three characters room to flex their muscles with a premise that wasn't intentionally muddy yet sparklingly clear in equal measure, then maybe I'd be getting more than a below average experience out of an episode that could have done better. It honestly tried too hard, when a bit of restraint and openness to new ideas could have pushed it into a better territory than what we actually got on display. Overall, A Matter of Principle scored a total of 11 out of 25, which is a C-. Following on swiftly from that rating, we have to move on to a Hearthswarming episode in August. To quote the Hurricane, what's up with that? Seriously, it's bemusing. A Hearthswarming Tale was in May and Hearthbreakers was in October. It's just not seasonal. Well, at least the upcoming end-of-year Christmas special will finally fit the occasion, much like Hearthswarming Eve did back in Season 2. Either way, having the Christmas holidays be a frequent fixture in the season's schedule as time has gone by, it's become quite stale, and as a result, it needed to inject life into its legs to keep it dancing as spryly as it did all those years ago. Reworking A Christmas Carol sure did that in Season 6, so what is so bad about the kids of different civilizations getting swept up in a tale of deceit and accusations while expositing their species' Christmas cultures? Well, the answer is actually quite simple because we've already seen something similar in Hearthbreakers, at least on a moral and story front. The apples and pies clashing due to their cultural differences and how the holidays should be celebrated, then they realise that the importance of being around people you consider family is much bigger than that, and they admit all of their mistakes and do happy things. Basically, if you remove those two families and replace them with the students, you get Hearthswarming Club in a nutshell. Meaning that it impacts very negatively on the episode as a result. Thanks to those revelations, it all feels like a regurgitated waste. Yes, you have new characters of different species building the world and expanding on the lore. That is fantastic, but when it's all the episode has to run on, it means that I have to start agreeing with those who criticised Shadowplay for similar faux pas. Although that two-parter managed to do a lot in the time it had with what it brought to the table. This one just expressed what they were and just left it at that, disappointingly, meaning that unlike Campfire Tales, which was executed under similar pretenses to this one, it gradually got more underwhelming the longer it went on. Thankfully, its premise of a Christmas prank causing suspicion from Twilight, Rainbow and Spike is handled with the right amount of seriousness to set the underlying conflict in place as the tension boiled over gradually to make for quite a fantastic, impassioned, empathetic and emotional reveal by Gallus, the perpetrator at hand. Yes, remember I said that there were going to be spoilers at the beginning of this video? This is why that warning is there. And coupled with that, his desire to have a family to celebrate the holidays with makes you forgive the misdeeds that the repetitive morals have brought to its own table, all the while it's surrounded by exclamations of happy and, well, overly melodramatic times, in the case of Sandbar, to add some humour and interest to what is going on. It's slow-paced enough to allow the world-building of the changelings, dragons, griffins, yaks, and hippogriff traditions to be given allotted time to express themselves, all while the Ponies one is avoiding the repetition by giving us a red herring, which is quite a nice thing even though it's cringy to high hell. However, some of them took up more time than appreciated, leading to aspects of the stories feeling like filler to pad out proceedings as we tiptoed to its dramatic conclusion, which I have to admit again was fantastic. The characters showcased sides of themselves that contrasted with their grounded personalities, allowing them growth, but it didn't really go anywhere in most cases, leaving it flat despite the passionate vocal performances doing their best to buoy things up. The animation had enough varied locations to try and help too, but thanks to their use in the series already being noted and the static location that comprised most of this episode's narrative, it couldn't do more than prop its head above the water, while the music fared just as poorly by bouncing tired Christmassy music with fleeting glimpses of the creature's cultural audiography. So when I look at this episode in the broader picture, Gallus, Yona, Smolder, they're the three characters that benefited, but much like the prior one, it was too rigid to really deliver much. But unfortunately, this one suffered more because of it. The moral, despite its best efforts, couldn't get over being reused, the stylistic aspects floundered, and the story and writing, despite having the groundwork to produce something interesting, fell by the wayside and joined its brethren in underwhelming even more. I was looking forward to this one, and while it was a nice casual watch, its flaws were more exposed under critical analysis in a way that doesn't make me the happiest camper around. Maybe it's time to stop focusing on Hearths warming and shift attention to Nightmare Night for once, or even a new holiday. Because at the fourth time of asking, the Hearthswarming cheer is here once again, but it's gotten to a point where it's difficult to really let out the celebratory voice that it desperately craves. The episode may not have been out and out terrible, but I'll tell you right now, it's quite poor, all things considered, at the end of the day. Overall, the Hearthswarming Club scored a total of 7 out of 25, which is a D-. In closing, these 2 episodes have at least done something. They've given the students and the school a bit of backbone. Unfortunately, they've not produced enough vertebrae to allow them to stand up on their hind legs and walk, or control their central nervous system properly, because that brain ain't connected to anything. The fact of the matter is, I had a lot of hype going into these episodes thinking, they're gonna make me feel excited. Well, at least on a casual watch I was having a good time, but critically, these 2 episodes really underwhelmed. I mean, they didn't really go away from convention, and what we got out of it was episodes that ended up just doing what you'd expect from this show, or at least in one case, basically doing something that's already been done to the point where it became quite tired. And as a result, I come out of this review and these 2 episodes not feeling as hyperactively enthusiastic as I was a couple of days ago before these episodes aired. And that's not a good thing. I want to be excited for the rest of the season, and well, I'm hoping the upcoming episodes can do that, but based on what these 2 have given, maybe I should scale back my anticipation a bit. Season 8 has done a solid job thus far, but if next week's episode does roughly similar to this, then it'll just turn into an average one, and I don't want that. I want to see some more crazy, incredible, and amazing episodes, because honestly, we haven't seen as many as I'd actually thought up to this point, but anything is possible, and hopefully some good news will be able to come out of the next Pones N Stuff. Let's hope, because apparently Starswell the Bearded's going to be in next week's episode, but in what way? Ooh, like I said, potential spoilers! The warning is there for a reason, folks. And with that being said, it's time to end and ponder what will happen. I have been Freddie Thomas, you've been people watching, this has been the, mid-season return of Pones N Stuff for the CC Network, and I will see you all next time.